What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with me once again, your host, Zach, with his lovely co-hosts, Derek and Matt. What is up, boys? I do want to start with an opening statement first, though. To our fans, our subscribers, our listeners, sorry for the delay on a new episode. We know it's been a little over a week, I think, since we came out with a new episode. Unfortunately, we all just had some things that came up that we had to get taken care of first. But honestly, we're really excited to be back. So, boys, how are we all doing? I'm doing good.
Oh, feeling fantastic as always, Zach. Just had a long weekend out in the sun watching cars go vroom vroom and the bases go boom boom. So it was pretty cool. Matt, I heard you had some fun too over the weekend at some other concert.
Yes, sir. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. I am very happy to be back. I am feeling fantabulous right now. Over this weekend, didn't do too much other than went to a Dirk Bentley concert at Pine Knob, so that was pretty nice. That was an alright concert, but it was one of the rare ones where you go there and the opener is better than the main act, which that doesn't happen very often. So it was definitely peculiar, but still had a good time. And this weekend after that, pretty much just done a whole bunch of yard work outside, and I'm absolutely exhausted right now. I know that I'm going to wake up and not be able to move like I just did CrossFit or something, but yeah, it's all good. We got it done. So don't have to do that the rest of the summer. And now we can just kick back in our lawn chairs and drink some beers and just have a grand old time. And yeah, as I said, happy to be back. I'm sorry it took us so long to get back to you guys, but we are back. And like a bad itch, you can't get rid of us now.
What Leslie said, and hopefully none of y'all have that. And hopefully none of us have that.
And if you do, go to a doctor.
Go to a doctor. Yes, immediately.
No fake news.
What do we got in store today? What do we got in store today? We got a little Red Wings news. We got around the league news. We got another Let's Play a Game. We're going to talk about what we're doing on our community tab here on YouTube, and as well doing draft prospect profiles for Gabe Perreault and Matthew Wood. So for Red Wings news, it's pretty much just World Championships, but the Let's Play a Game is technically part of Red Wings news, but we want to save that for you guys later. It's the main topic, as you could tell in the title of the video. So, Red Wings news, World Champions update. It's over. Canada wins gold. Joe Veleno actually got to play in that game after his 5-game suspension, and he won a gold medal. Go you, dude.
Ironic.
Stomping and Dominican Sue style and winning a gold medal. You rock.
No, I was not expecting that at all. Like, okay, he's gone for the tournament. Just kidding. Here's a gold medal, buddy. Like, bring it back to the Red Wings, I guess. I don't know. Like, what is that?
And the funny thing about him, too, he still finished out with 5 points overall with 2 goals, 3 assists. Dominic Kubalik ended up leading the Red Wings tandem of players in the tournament with 8 goals, 4 assists. Raymond with 2 goals, 6 assists. Berggren, Yanni Bergers, 2 goals, 5 assists. Oli Mata, 5 assists. Carter Mazer, 1 goal, 2 assists. Like we said, Canada won gold. Germany won silver. So Mo Seider, that's another. I did that last episode, and I apologize. I didn't put that down in the details of the video that we did last time. That I completely forgot about Moritz Seider, and I still don't know how many points Moritz Seider got in the tournament. So if someone can look that up real quick for me, Leslie.
Go.
That would be great.
I'm out, boys.
But yeah, then you got Latvia winning bronze. And boys, I don't know if you guys saw the videos after that, but that was freaking nuts. It was like they just won the World Cup for soccer or something. Like, that was phenomenal. And I didn't realize how big of a hockey country Latvia actually was. And their whole entire country was just, yeah, everyone have the day off. It's a national holiday. Let's effing go. What do you guys think about it?
Gold or silver, bronze medal, and the whole country exploded. Like, what was that? Like, I love the enthusiasm. Like, I get it. Their first medal ever. It's a big deal for them over there.
Yeah.
But man, same as you, Zach, I didn't know they were that big into hockey, but I love it. The only time I've ever seen them, even the name of the country, was because of the World Juniors a few years ago. It's like, what is that team? Like, what does that stand for? I have to look it up, and I find it. I'm like, I didn't know that was a place.
Oh, my goodness.
But I'm like, hey, they beat the USA and got third place and got the bronze medal. good for them. I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, Derek is not exactly a geography expert, but that's okay. That's why we have maps and textbooks in schools. Just to go back on what you guys were saying, Mo Seider throughout the tournament had 1 goal and 4 assists for 5 points, and also probably 50 hits or something like that. I mean, he was just bullying people. Like, he did have some hits that were borderline. I don't know if I want to say they were dirty, but he definitely let up on a few of them, so he didn't take a penalty and get a suspension. But yeah, he was just bullying people out there. And yeah, congrats to Latvia. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. That's a country that honestly for a long while has had a big hockey following, but they haven't necessarily had the talent of like a Canada, a US, a Sweden, really even a Finland. But yeah, they had a really good goalie there. Silovs, who's in the Vancouver organization, probably will play for them as a backup next year. I believe I saw that he got like MVP for their team or maybe the whole tournament. I'm not exactly sure about that, but yeah, this is a big deal for Latvia, just the country as a whole. Like I really can't tell you any like popular Latvian players in the NHL. The biggest I could think of, and I'm not even like 100% sure that he's Latvian, is Elvis Merzlikins in Columbus. I think he's Latvian. You guys can fact check me on that, but yeah, this is a big deal for that country. I think in the next few years, you're going to see a lot more Latvian players coming through the ranks and getting into the NHL after this. So good for them. I always love seeing a country that is a little bit out of the ordinary winning big like that. So that's really cool to see.
While you were saying that, Leslie, obviously the question popped in my head. Yeah, who are the best Latvian players to ever play in the NHL? So I found this article by the Hockey Writers, and it's the top 10 Latvian players that ever played in NHL. I would love for you guys to take a guess who you think number 1 is.
I have a guess.
Have I ever heard of him?
Probably not.
I have a guess.
I'm gonna try.
Is it Siendis Ozolinsh?
Yeah, you cheated.
No, I didn't cheat. No.
Well, that's who they have.
So
Yeah.
with the name too. It's like,
That's the only other one that I could think of, and I wasn't even sure that he was Latvian.
I did see when I Googled it as well that Elvis Merzlikins is Latvian.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't make the list.
All right.
But I would probably put him in there. I mean, he's not like the greatest goaltender, but like we mentioned, Latvia doesn't exactly produce like the greatest talent. No offense to them.
Yeah.
Go you
doesn't
for
play
winning
for the
the
best
bronze.
team either, too.
Right.
Columbus is quite a disaster, which we'll get into that later. They have some news that I think made the whole hockey world scratch their head, and honestly a little bit of shame too, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the around the league news, and let's start off with just talking about the Stanley Cup Finals, which began on Saturday with the Golden Knights versus the Florida Panther Kitty Cats, and the Golden Knights winning 5-2. Let's go, Derek.
Let's go Vegas, baby! Oh, I love to see it.
What did you guys think of the first game overall? Honestly, to be honest with you guys, and I'll be really short with it, I did honestly think that Florida looked like the better team out there. At least for the first, 50 minutes or at least 45 minutes. In my opinion, I thought that they looked good. But obviously, Vegas just turned it around on them. I mean, Florida with the shorty right out the gate, too. I mean, I thought it was done deal right then and there because Vegas just looked pretty slow out there in the first period, for sure. But let's hear from you guys. What did you guys think of the first game?
A lot of sloppy goals, but, man, a goal's a goal. Poor Bob got shot down there. That was probably his worst game in all the playoffs, and it has to be the first game for the Stanley Cup. Like, what can you do about that? I mean, of course, I'm a Vegas fan, so I'm a little biased and saying, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't. After that, like Zach said, after that first shorty, I thought it was going to go the opposite way. I was a little down on the dumps on that one, but my boys came back. Hey, I'm happy about it. And the great news about this is, even after the playoffs here, 2 of these guys are still going to be hand in hand at someone's wedding, so it's going to be great.
It's Matt's brother, so it's Brady's wedding, and they're both groomsmen. So that Mark Stone and Matt get to see each other after the finals and be like, I want that ring that you got right there, buddy. Give me that cup. And one of them's gonna bring it to that wedding and be like, bet you wish you had this.
If there's not a fight between them, like I hope they get put right next to each other in that wedding lineup, just so I can laugh.
Same table and everything. Same table. Leslie, what did you think about the first game, bud?
Yeah, I do think overall that Florida did look really good. They definitely were the better team. The biggest issue with Florida was Sergei Bobrovsky not only looked human, but he also didn't look very good. This is probably his worst performance in the entire postseason, which is really saying something, because that guy literally has been unbeatable. Like, he's been a brick wall with zero cracks in the foundation. And I don't know, maybe the rest of the team was in the hotel early before that night, and he was out there, just going crazy, having some body shots with some Elvis impersonators. I don't know what happened, but yeah, Vegas got the better of him. And honestly, it didn't really get away from them until the end of the third period. I think it ended, 5-2 or something? And before then, it was pretty close the rest of the game. So, yeah, I think this is like the first game they've lost since the second round, like early second round. So that's kind of insane. Like, they've literally just been unbeatable through the playoffs until now. I think I still have them as the favorite. I guess I never really gave my prediction because we didn't do a pod before the Stanley Cup Final started, but I do think Florida's going to win this one. I guess we could just go ahead and do it right now. I mean, why not while we're all here? Yeah, I do still have Florida. I do think they're just a better team overall, and they play a better team game than Vegas. This is going to be a tough one, though. This is going to be back and forth and back and forth. I think I have to give it to Florida in 6. I am also definitely a little biased because I don't really want to be the guy who's always talking about his bets, but I do have a future bet on Florida. And I would like to cash that bet in, please. Pretty please. It would, now that I think about it, it would be the biggest winnings I've ever had for a bet. So that would be cool. And I made the mistake of telling my girlfriend about it, so I'm going to spend all of it on her. Just a lesson for you boys out there. Never do that. Just never, ever. Just, if you guys share a bank account, whatever, hey, babe, what's this extra $300 in the account? Oh, don't worry about that. I invested in some stocks. Don't worry. It's for the better.
It's my money, and I want it now.
Tesla. Yeah.
My money. I want it.
Exactly.
Derek, what about you? What do you got?
Oh, I do agree with Leslie that Florida probably, putting my biases aside, Florida is probably the better team in all this right now. But at the same time, I'd probably see this going to at least Game 7. I mean, there's no max more than that, so.
I could see that too. Wouldn't be surprised.
I just got served amazing drinks by a beautiful woman. I love this life. Oh, she brought me 2 more. Might be a little loopy at the end of this podcast. But yes, I'm predicting Game 7 right off the get-go. Like, they're both pretty much the same team. I feel like it's just going to go back and forth. Like, probably, what was Seattle and Dallas? I think it's going to be like that. It's going to be high scoring one side, low score the other. It's just going to go back and forth the entire time. But Vegas.
Seattle and Dallas, what are you talking about?
That was a pretty intense series. That was honestly one of the better ones of the playoffs.
I was thinking they went to Game 7, I'm pretty sure, right? And most of the games were literally like 5-2, 6-2, 5-3, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm following him. I'm picking up what he's putting down.
Thank you, Leslie. At least someone understands my jabbering.
I just hate Jamie Benn that much.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I just said that. Yeah, for me, I really did think that Florida did look like the better team. I think that they do a better job at getting underneath the skin, and you saw that. Like, a lot of Vegas Golden Knights players were going after Matt Tkachuk, and for a good reason. You see the videos of Radko Gudas. I'm going to rip your mustache off your face. That's a scary man. That's someone that we would love to have on the Red Wings, like we talked about on the last episode.
Freaking.
The only concern that I have is you look back at the overall standings in the league, right? Is that look where Florida got in. They basically got in as the 8th seed, 7th seed, whatever it was. You look at Vegas, they won their division. They are a good team. So it's not a surprise that they made it this far. It's a surprise that Florida made it this far. And yes, Sergei Bobrovsky finally looked human after all. There could be a good chance that Vegas just might expose that finally. I don't know. I think it's going to go to a game 7, like Derek said. I think I pod consensus. I think it's Florida for me as well. I just like their overall game a little bit more. I think they play a little more dirty game, and I think that's exactly what you need to win the cup. However, like we just talked about, like what Leslie said about Bobrovsky, he looked off. So he needs to figure it out quickly. And I'm sure he can rebound after that game, but this is going to be one hell of a series. And for those of you that think that this is going to be a boring series, shame on you. Shame on you. If you're sitting there and saying Vegas isn't a hockey market and Florida isn't a hockey market, you know who was in the Stanley Cup Final for the last like 2 or 3 years, right? Tampa Bay. Florida is definitely a hockey state. Vegas now is a hockey state. All those fans that you see in that arena, those are actually people that live in that state. They're not people like you and I from a different state coming in and being like, oh, let's just go to a Vegas Golden Knights game. No, it's not like that. So, yeah, Florida in 7. Derek's got them in 7, and Leslie, you got them in 6.
I got Vegas in 7, my boys.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a Vegas stan.
Oh, my bad.
Okay,
Okay,
not
not
bandwagon.
consensus. All right.
I was like, wait a minute. Like, I am on the
My
opposite
bad.
side, friend.
My bad.
Derek also just likes to root against whatever team I'm rooting for. Like the Islanders in the first round, which I guess you're guilty of that too, Zach. And
Even everybody.
yeah, also everybody else too. Honestly, if you watch Game 1 last night and you think this is going to be a boring finals, I don't really know what to tell you anymore. You honestly may just not like hockey. Like, this is going to be one hell of a series. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. It's only been one game. I think there's bound to be at least one stinker in this finals, but this could be an all-timer, honestly. It really could. I'm excited for the rest of the finals. And I'm definitely going to be sad when it goes. Like, it's going to be like after the last game, I'm going to be sitting there a week later watching the Tigers get swept against a team that they beat 4 times in a row. I'm going to think, man, I could be watching hockey right now, but it's gone. I just have these losers. Great.
Well, the good thing is that once the playoffs end, we'll only have about probably like 2 weeks, maybe a little less until the draft. That's when everything's going to start ramping up. You're probably going to start
That'll be
seeing
fun.
trades. All the rumors about who's going to be picked where, the trade rumors, like I just said, free agency rumors as well. That's when everything's just going to start catching fire, and it's going to be a good summer, I think. I think that this year is probably going to be the most explosive the NHL has ever been in its history. For real. I really do. I think it's going to be great for the organizations all around in the league in general, and just for hockey. I think it's going to be great. We need a little more NBA-esque, I think, a little more chaotic. I love chaos. Yes.
We got the Chuck in the finals. It's perfect. We got the chaos we needed. I'm really happy to see
Yes,
that
sir.
crazy man there.
So
I
let's
just
go ahead.
think
I
I think the people who are going to benefit the most from the Stanley Cup Finals ending is the 30 other GMs that don't have a team in the finals, because I think they're all collectively getting blue ball sitting on all these trades and all these free agency signings. They just can't do it yet because we have at least 6 more games to play, and they're just sitting there like, come on, I want to trade for Mark Stone.
So let's go ahead and kick it off to our next topic. Leslie kind of brought it up, talking about Columbus a little bit. Mike Babcock is hired by the Columbus Blue Jackets as their new head coach. And also, why I have this written down, I have written down why, ? Because this guy, in my opinion, yes, he used to be the former Red Wings coach back in, when was his last year? What was it, like 2016, 17, whatever?
Yeah, around there.
For what, 4
Maybe
years he played
2015?
with Toronto? Though I think 2015.
Yeah, so then he goes to Toronto, and then once he gets, canned, all the news and rumors start coming out about how, pardon my language, shitty of a person he is. I mean, this guy. Leslie, I think you said that you pulled something up a little bit about Mike Babcock, didn't you?
Oh,
I
we
did,
both
and
about him.
I don't really want to go too in detail with it because it's kind of sad and it involves a former player who was beloved in Hockey Town. I don't really know exactly when this was during Babcock's tenure. I think it was kind of towards the end of his career when the Wings were kind of starting on a downward curve. It was after Lidstrom retired, and I think right before Datsuk retired, he was on the bench one game. I don't know if this playoffs or not, but he was kind of just berating Franzen, who was dealing with a history of not only concussions, but it was known that he had some mental health problems too. So definitely not the kind of guy that will receive being yelled at by a psycho well. And yeah, that's really just one story from a number of people across the league. I mean, you really can just do your own digging there. You're going to find a lot of bad stories about Mike Babcock. I really would have thought this guy was blackballed from the league ever since he got canned by the Leafs. It just kind of goes to show what an old boys club the NHL is, and just how much they retread coaches, no matter what their history is, what their controversy is, their tenure, their results. Doesn't really matter. If there's one GM out there who thinks that this coach can get it done and is willing to overlook everything negative, then he'll get hired. And it's a real shame. Part of me hopes that he's kind of stepped back and looked himself in the mirror and learned some lessons about how to treat people better from his time away from the game. And hopefully he's taken some of the blame and realized what he needs to do to be a better coach. So I don't know. I don't really want to say I'm optimistic about him in Columbus because I've read so many stories that it's hard for me to really shift my view into what he is. But hopefully he's learned from all that and he'll come out and just treat the players better. I was actually saying to Derek before this, like, imagine that you're Johnny Gaudreau and last summer you wanted out of Calgary because you had Daryl Sutter as a head coach who everybody hated. Like, there was going to be a mutiny if that guy wasn't fired. And he's like, you know what? I'll go to Columbus. Why not? Nobody goes to Columbus. Well, now he's starting to see why nobody goes to Columbus because shit like this happens. So, yeah, it's a real shame for him. So, only 7 more years, buddy. So hang in there.
Yeah, rumor has it Patrick Laine has already sent in his trade request because he heard Mike Babcock was already in town. So good luck to him as well. Yeah, there's just been a lot of horrible stories about Mike Babcock between the Red Wings. I don't really know anything about Anaheim because he was the Anaheim Ducks coach before coming to the Red Wings. But even in Toronto, I can't remember if it was Martyr or Nylander, where he had them like rank each player on the team based on who had like the most compete. And he had him read the list in front of all the players. That's messed up. That's
it wasn't
really
even in front of the players. He took the players, he said who had the worst compete, and told them. He didn't tell the players he thought were the best. It's like, no, we're going to go tell the players that are possibly the worst on the team, hey, this is what this great player thinks of you. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Go home and cry? I don't know.
See, yeah, like my thing with that type of coaching is like, what does that accomplish? What is the end goal for that? Like, what kind of result are you trying to get by making your guy go up there and talk about the players like that? It makes no sense.
Well, and it's not even coaching at that point. You're just being an asshole. Literally, that's not even coaching. Yeah, like you're that's just a bad environment, and there's a good reason why he didn't stick around for so long. You know, he's just a bad person to be around. So hopefully, like you said, Leslie, that he realized the mistakes that he made and he's doing a lot better. And, you know, good luck to Columbus. Really, good luck. You're going to need it with that guy.
You'll need it. And you know what? Laine, Gaudreau, if you guys get tired of him, come on over. We'll take you in Hockey Town. We're going to be a really good team in the next 3 or 4 years. So, Laine, you will have to play fourth line minutes, but you'll be the best fourth line winger in the league. So, take it or leave it.
Let's go ahead and jump into
our fourth line.
Go ahead, Derek.
I
Okay.
was just gonna say, if we had line 8 as our fourth line wiener, I think we're doing something great as the Red Wings. We better be winning every Stanley Cup for the next 3 years.
Just plan the parade at that point.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next around the league news topic, where Kyle Dubas has been hired by the Pittsburgh Penguins as the president of hockey operations. It's funny because we also talked about the press conference with why am I drawing a blank? Please help me out on this one. What's it? Shanahan. And then hearing about like what happened with Dubas, and like then you hear like what Dubas said, that like, yeah, if I'm not here, you won't see me somewhere else a week later. 2 weeks later, he's at a different club. So he didn't lie, but still, it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like you're just creating so many more problems for yourself. But at this point, like, he probably doesn't even care, because now he's with Pittsburgh, and he honestly, for him, I think it's smart for him to not be a GM anymore. I think he kind of did that, and he's like, I didn't like the. I think, okay, when I say this, he probably didn't like the stress, but I also think it was partially because of Toronto. But I think what Pittsburgh had to offer, money-wise and job security, probably led to that. So he's like, oh, I don't have to be a GM anymore, but I could still make like overarching decisions. Sure, I'll do it. Yeah, why not? And I got Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Gensel. Yeah, I'll take that. Like, he went from like one good team to another pretty much. So like, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with the Pittsburgh Penguins, though. Thoughts from you two? I pretty much just kind of spewed a little bit.
I mean, we also got to remember, on the Penguins right now, what do they have? A whole 8 players signed, and they only have like 20 million in cap. I mean, 20 million is a lot to play with, but at the same time, it's like, good luck trying to figure that one out when you have most of your players over the age of 30.
Yeah,
but you know what, Derek? That's not his problem, because he's not GM. He'll hire someone and be like, hey, it's pretty bad over here. Do your best. I'm going to sit up in the press box with my coffee and my soft pretzel and hope that you can figure it out.
I do believe that he is. I was going to say, sorry, Derek. I do believe that he is acting as interim GM currently. So he is the decision maker currently until he does hire someone, which, are the Pittsburgh Penguins going to go a route where they just don't hire someone this year and just kind of wait and see like what Dubas thinks?
Honestly,
they're up top, so
if they're smart, I think that's what they'll do. I mean, Dubas obviously has not accomplished a whole lot in Toronto, only one first round win and pretty much a complete collapse after that. But he is responsible for the core 4 being there. Say what you will about their results and their contract situation. I know a lot of people have differing opinions on that. I still think that's his legacy there, is having all those players and kind of taking them from like kind of a bottom feeder in the league to getting up to the ranks that they are now. I mean, winning Austin Matthews definitely helped with that, but we'll just ignore that. But yeah, I think overall he's done about the best he could in Toronto. Definitely still left a lot to be desired, but he's definitely going to a better situation in Pittsburgh. He's going over to a franchise that has a history of winning. They have a core that, even though they are still aging, they still have something to give. I really find it hard to believe that they could win another cup before all 3 of them retire, but there's pieces there. I think probably the best course of action, if I were Dubas and I am going to run the team next year, is just try and build what you can short term around Crosby, Malkin, Letang, and once they go, tear it down. I think that's the way it needs to go for the Pens. They have maybe 1 or 2 more years where they can do a last kick at the can and just try to get far. I mean, there's pretty much no prospects to speak of in that whole situation. Not a whole lot of draft capital. That's going to be a tough one to get competitive in the short term, but I think in the long term, they're definitely going to have to tear it down, which I think they could. I think they could do a pretty effective rebuild after all three of those players decide that their time in the sun is done.
I totally agree with that one. And I want to be nice, dubious on this end, just because I know how Toronto is. And if you don't know how Toronto is, go watch the movie Love Guru. And that movie's a little excessive, but it's actually pretty close at how Toronto fans are about hockey. Like,
I forgot that movie existed, dude.
I did not. Was it Michael Myers and Tosh in there at one point? But
what a throwback!
They're pretty close. The hockey world in Toronto is a different kind of breed, and if you're not winning, I'm like, if I was Austin Matthews, I'd probably be living in Florida for the year just because until I have to play again, just so I have to deal with everybody scrutinizing me nonstop. So I get why Dubas was like, okay, it's probably a good thing with all the pressure he has, being only 37 years old with a new family. Yeah, he's a young guy. He doesn't need that headache, so I'd probably get out of there too.
So speaking of the Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs hire Brad Treliving, however you want to pronounce it, the former Calgary Flames general manager. For those of you that don't know, he is the one that was responsible for the Matt Tkachuk trade to get Huberdeau. And he was the one who lost Johnny Gaudreau. And I think there was one more that I can't think of, but either way, yeah. So that's a replacement for Kyle Dubas. Do you think that's an upgrade, downgrade? Thoughts on that? To me personally, I technically think it's a downgrade. He kind of was forced a hand to trade Matt Tkachuk because Matt Tkachuk wasn't going to stay either way. So it's just one of those situations, kind of like how Toronto's in currently with their core four. And so maybe they got the right guy for the job to be able to make something happen to where you trade a Nylander or you trade a Matthews and you get someone else to come in that replacement is potentially a little bit better. So let me hear from you guys. Open floor.
Well, I see it as they're bringing him in to make the hard decisions because he seems not to have a problem with it at all. Making the hard decisions is like in a blink of an eye. And I feel like Toronto's about to be in that position where they're going to have to make some hard choices on who they want to keep and who they're going to get in. So is it a downgrade? A little bit, I think. But I think for the situation they're in, it's probably one of the smarter moves.
Yeah.
Especially without having their Kyle there anymore. So I'd say it's not a bad timing for him to be there, especially if he does what he's done in the past.
Yeah, it's hard to say this is a downgrade or an upgrade. To me, it's almost kind of like a lateral move. It's like, I don't know. He's definitely going to play a lot more hardball, I think. One of the biggest criticisms you could give Dubas from his tenure is he did kind of seem like he was really like chummy with all of those guys in the core four and, almost like a little buddy where he kind of put their needs over the needs of the team as a whole and just the whole business needs of the franchise. So, yeah, you look at a trade like what he did for Tkachuk, that was kind of just he had to make, cookies out of shit. I don't know. That's not a good metaphor, but I'm very tired from yard working, so I'm only working at half capacity right now. But yeah, he honestly pulled off a pretty good hockey trade there. A lot of people have mixed results on it, but I still think it's a little too early to make an accurate prediction of how that's going to turn out. But he's definitely going to make the hard decisions, like Derek said. They're definitely coming up on having to do that. They're going to have to trade one of those guys this offseason and probably have to do the same thing next season too. I mean, it's really kind of coming down to it. They're cap crunched for sure. Not even just the cap. I mean, if the cap wasn't even a thing, I think they'd have to trade one of them anyways because it's not happening with them. They're not getting it done. I mean, when have they been successful? This year, and then they crashed and burned? I think it's time for a change of scenery for one of those guys and just try and go in a little bit of a different direction. And then, looking at the list of candidates that Shanahan was considering, Treliving was definitely the best worst option because he was among guys like Peter Chiarelli, Mark Bergevin. I think Jim Benning was even in there. what
Yep.
the actual even fuck is that? Like, what? Like,
I
was
mean,
everybody else busy? Do you want to call
I'm-
Chuck Fletcher while you're at it? That was bad.
Well, like you just kind of look at it too, like there really weren't too many like options, like not very many. Like you look back at like the NHL, right? Every year there's at least like 1, 2, maybe 3 GMs that are fired or let go or just leave. Then there's a couple coaches, but like you really didn't get that this year, it seemed like, or at least maybe I just wasn't paying close enough attention. But obviously, you know, you look at Dubas, he just left, but that's one of them. But yeah, Brad hasn't worked all year. He hasn't done anything. He got like a head start on his retirement and was like, oh, I'm bored of playing golf. I'm going to come back and I'll just kind of whoop up something here in Toronto for a little bit, I guess, just collect another payday. But no, I think, like you said, it was the best or the worst best decision or
The best worst option.
the best worst option. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Cause like those other names, I mean, we all saw what Peter Chiarelli did in Oilers country, and that was, yeah.
That
like
could have worked for the Red Wings. You know, just trade Matthews for Ben Sherratt straight up, no salary retained.
So
That's a Peter Chiarelli move.
So since you brought that up, Leslie, let's go into our next segment. How about we play a game, shall we?
I love
I
games.
think I like this game.
This is my favorite segment now. I love doing this. We're going to do this every episode. Let's play a game. NHL trade rumor came out with a suspect article saying Anzar Khan, who mainly reports for the Detroit Red Wings, thinks that the Red Wings are interested in William Nylander and the cost would be Moritz Seider. Before I go deeper or at least ask you guys a question on it, like, would you do this? A little brief background on the article. This article by NHL Trade Rumor is a little bit of false information, as Lego Rocks 99 on YouTube, and I will link his video on it. I sent it to the boys right before we recorded too, on how he debunks that Ansar never said this about Seider for Nylander. So either way, let's get into it. Would you guys consider this trade for one? Because that's what it proposed, was Nylander for Seider. Do you guys think that's fair? And would you do it?
If Nylander was signed for 7 more years on his deal, I would not consider it in 1,000 years. The fact that Nylander's deal is up next year, to propose this trade, you need to be in a straitjacket, locked in the loony bin, and throw away the key. This is absolutely insane. So we're going to trade our franchise defenseman, who literally could be a Norris winner in the future. I've said before he could win a Norris, and I still believe it, especially after watching him play in the World Championships. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but it could be next year. Like, he's so damn good. Yeah, we are not going to trade him for a guy that we will have to pony up for the next year, or we'll lose him for nothing. That is the most insane trade I can think of. It would make the Ben Sherratt contract look like you just signed a AHLer and just buried him in the AHL. Absolutely not. Not in a million years. If I could rank this mock trade out of 10, I'm going to do negative 1,000. It is just so preposterously stupid. And yeah, it could be just someone trying to troll and just putting it out there. But if it really is a real trade rumor and it's actually coming from a reliable and verifiable source, they should be fired and also put in jail. So I guess that means I'm going to say no.
I'll say Leslie give us a full view of that, a negative 1,000 right there. Okie dokie. And before everyone goes and watches the video from Lego Rocks, that trade for Seider apparently was for Matthews, not actually for Nylander in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Leslie, if that sweetens the deal for you. I mean, a 1-on-1 trade Seider for Matthew. I'd say yes to that. For Nylander, I think you're more on the right side of everything on that one, just because we do have the cap space. Don't get me wrong. We could pull off a Nylander if we really want to for the Red Wings at this point.
We could.
But do we want to spend half the available cap that we have on this one player? Will he be 90 points this season high? I can't really argue that. He's a great player and would be a great person to add to the line. Like, throw on the second line or first line probably with Larkin out there. Blow up doors off the goal scoring. It'd be great. But I'm not as upset about that as Leslie would be at a negative 10,000 or whatever he said, but trade wise, I'm going to go with a no as of right now. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks before the trade or 2 weeks before the trade deadline. Some things could move around. Different things could happen depending on who we're picking. Maybe. I mean, if Yasmin wants to pick straight up defensemen in this first round draft, yeah, why not? Because then we'll need it. But if he picks the way we think he's going to pick, I don't know if I'm going to push just to get somebody who's going to be a good scorer for the next 6 years and dump a crap ton of money into it. So I'm going to go with a no on that too.
You know, I'm kind of glad that you mentioned the cap situation for us, because I think this year, if we had to pay Nylander a new contract, we definitely could afford it this year. It makes it even more of a no for next year, because you're going to trade for him, and then you have to not only pay him, but Raymond's deal is going to be up, Seider's deal is going to be up, and that's not to mention all the deals that you're going to make throughout this coming season. I mean, you're going to sign some guys in free agency, maybe you'll sign some minor AHL deals. That stuff adds up. That really adds up, and I think your priority is signing those two young guys over anything else.
My take with the whole trade is that, yeah, and I'm kind of following with Lego Rocks on this, that I do think that the Red Wings and Seider have the leverage on the trade just because of the Nylander situation, where he has 1 year left on his deal. He's 27 years old. If you're trading for him, you're getting 1 year of him with the possibility of more, but he's 27. So you're probably max going to get 7, 8 years. So then by the time he's 35, 36, you look at Moritz Seider, 22. You're trading a 22-year-old, your top right-handed shooting defenseman, for a right winger who is 5 years older. It just really doesn't make sense to me from a Red Wings fan's perspective. And just all around, like, even if I wasn't a Red Wings fan, I think that just would not make sense for the Red Wings. And you have to look at it this way as well. We're heading into the draft. Do you see any of these right-handed defensemen better or just as good as Moritz Seider to replace him if you were going to take one with the 9th pick, trading Mo Seider? No. David Reinbacher is the closest one, but I don't know what David Reinbacher can do for us. I know what Mo Seider can do for us, and I would rather keep him. Now, you can go out and get a different Nylander. You can go get an Alex DeBrincat. You can go get a Kyle Connor. If it's not going to cost Seider, I would rather do that. Now, what Derek said was true. The trade technically was going over Austin Matthews for Seider. Would I do that? I think really hardly on it. But I think at the end of the day, I would probably say no, because it's kind of the same situation where you're trading a young defenseman for a player who's already in his prime, and you're going to get less time with them. And the Red Wings aren't exactly in a position where we need a player who's in his prime to, just make it into the playoffs? That's not what we're trying to do. We want the long-standing run. We don't want to make the playoffs for just 2 years, miss it 1 year, then we make it for 2 more, and then that's it. No, I want to make it for another 25 years straight. So by trading Seider, that pushes you back, in my personal opinion. Now, if you told me that it's going to cost 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks, I'd much rather do that. If that's really what we wanted was a Nylander, I'd much rather do that than give up Seider. I think this article was just poorly written. They didn't do their due diligence to actually thoroughly look and read in it. Like Derek said, it was for Mo Seider for Austin Matthews, not for Nylander. So NHL trade rumor, shame on you for doing that stuff, because you created a lot of chaos. I like the chaos, but that was just really bad. And every time I see them post something, I don't like it, because it's just, where do you guys come up with these ideas? You literally just sit on Armchair GM, Cap Friendly, and just look at what other people are doing, like these Looney Tune Toronto fans, like it's just. And then you got the Toronto fans saying, no, we don't even want Seider. Nylander's way better than Seider. You guys aren't going to have him. You have him for one more year. And then you would be able to keep Seider for 2 years. Like, what?
Yeah, if you think he's re-signing there, you're insane.
Right. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
He's been like, oh yeah, I'll re-sign in the place that I just have heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak in the playoffs, even though I'm the only one pulling my weight. Yeah, I'd love to spend the rest of my career there. No, he's hitting the road and not looking back. I think he'd rather go to Philadelphia than Toronto next year. Yeah. I'm not even kidding.
You made a good point, because technically, if you look at that team, he was really the only one who did show up for that team. He is technically, based on value and what he does and puts up production-wise, he technically is the best asset that they have on that team. Tavares, garbage, way overpaid. Matthews, just overpaid. But then again, like, you look at the cap. The cap's been stuck for 3 years, so Toronto had no idea. So it's not them to blame. But, like, I do think Mitch Marner gets paid a little bit too much. He is a phenomenal playmaker, and he is quick and he has a good shot. However, I do think that he is overpaid as well. You look at Nylander, he was the one who got shafted. He sat out for like almost, what was it? Like half the whole entire season. What was it, 2018 or something like that? Because he wanted more money, and Dubas didn't want to give it to him. He's like, well, we need more money. Stop giving it to these guys then. It's just like you guys said, he's trying to be buddy with these players, and it just never ended up working out for them. And now you're stuck in this pickle. But I guess for Dubas, it doesn't matter to him because it's in Pittsburgh land. But I digress. Yeah. No, I'm not doing the trade overall. I think it's dumb. It doesn't make sense for the Red Wings at this time. And that would just technically be a win for Toronto in my eyes. I mean, you get a guy who's cost controlled, he's an RFA, and we're getting a guy who's a UFA with a 1 year left on his contract. Don't be dumb. Don't think silly. Don't overthink it. It's simple. Seider over Nylander all day long. A lot of Red Wings fans will agree with me. A lot of Toronto fans will disagree with me. You can tell me all about it in the comments. I'd love to have a good debate with you guys. Please. Anything?
I don't even know. I don't know where people get these ideas from. Like, this kind of trade that is being mocked in this video, like, this doesn't happen in the NHL. There are not lopsided trades like this that ever happen in the NHL between two competent GMs, which, like, I guess a GM now would be Treliving and Yzerman. Like, neither one of them would do this deal. Like, this is just not how it works. There's definitely a trade out there for Nylander. Maybe that could be a separate video where we could kind of brainstorm about that. Definitely a guy that I would like. I'm just a little nervous about having to pay him next year and either having him walk or having to overpay him. But he's definitely a guy that I'd like on the wings. I think pretty much all those guys besides Tavares I would take. All of them make us better. I like all of those guys. I mean, you can look at Mitch Marner and say that he doesn't really perform in the playoffs. Maybe he should go to a team where he doesn't have to take such a big role in the playoffs and be kind of a little more of a supportive guy. I don't know. Maybe just these guys need to change the scenery out of Toronto. There's definitely something in the water there. I think it's an extremely tough market to play in. Like, everything you do is under a microscope, and every giveaway, every, missed pass, every shot that goes wide of the net, they're down your throat. So I hope a lot of those guys can get out. Tavares, he made his bed. Now he's shitting in it. Good luck, buddy. I mean, I guess this is what you wanted. You could still be playing on the island where, who knows, maybe you're on those teams that almost got to the Cup Finals and the island would actually have a cup. But no, you decided to go and break your own heart every single year. So have fun, buddy. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Derek, you got any final thoughts before we move on with your brain freeze?
No, that's a dumb trade. We're not gonna do it. Yzerman won't do it. Brad might try to throw something out there just as a Hail Mary, but I doubt Yzerman's even gonna answer the phone call. So
even if he does, as soon as you hear the word Mo Seider Nylander, you're laughing and you're shutting the phone off instantly. I agree with you. I just don't think that it's realistic. And I think that the Red Wings would ask a little bit more because you're getting a younger player who's cost controlled. RFA status once again, like I said. So let's move on. So, fun little thing if you guys haven't been paying attention, for those of you that are on Spotify listening, I know it's a little hard for you guys. So if you guys would be so kind, go ahead and head on over to our YouTube page. Down in our little community tab section, right over yonder, it'll be a little over to the right. We have a Red Wings top prospects. Community like vote.
Yeah,
thing,
it's on the
whatever you
community
wanna call it.
page. Yeah,
No, I just didn't know what to call it, I guess. So yeah, we're basically
It's
doing
like-
a vote where
like a poll.
a poll. There we go. Yeah, a vote poll for you, the listeners, to vote the top 10 best Red Wings prospects in our pool currently. So far, we are down to the fourth player. Let me just pull it up right now. The top 3 players that you, the fans on YouTube, have selected so far as your top prospects are Simon Edvinsson, left-handed defenseman, Marco Kasper, center, Sebastian Cossa, goalie. And I kid you not, guys, it was very, very close between Simon Edvinsson and Marco Kasper. I was pretty surprised. So we're on the fourth one right now. So far, it's Carter Mazur leading with 39% over Elmer Soderblom for 35%. It's all up to you guys. You guys get the vote. It's up to you. Don't let us influence you. We're just going to leave it right then and there.
Do it for Mazur.
I'm going to change my vote now. Just because Leslie.
Anyone can vote. I don't know if you guys need to be subscribed to vote, but
No, anyone can
you're
vote.
not-
If you
if you're not
somehow come
subscribed, go ahead
across
and
it,
subscribe.
if it's on your recommended page, you somehow see it from maybe the algorithm has blessed you, you can still vote on it. So please, if you're watching this video because the algorithm decided that you need to support us and, give us your money when we can actually get some money on our videos, go vote on the poll. We would love to hear your opinions.
We also like to make money, yes, but we do this for fun, first and foremost. So thank you for those of you who continue
Fun
to
is the motivator.
listen to our voices.
We
of
do this definitely for free, so.
Yeah. I actually paid to do it.
Into this some reason. I don't know how that worked out at the beginning when I got signed
Technically,
on.
yeah.
I pay $1 every episode. Don't know who gets it, but
Yeah, someone gets it. Probably the government or something. Whatever.
Yeah, usually.
All right, boys. Well, for those of you that are watching, listening, whatever you're doing to hear our beautiful voices and see our beautiful faces, we have the pleasure to do 2 prospect profiles today. We're getting closer to the draft. As we record, it is June 4th, 2023. The draft is, I'm going to it. I should know the date. I think it's the 27th or the 28th. Jesus, what's wrong with me? But yeah, it's coming up closer than you guys think. And we really need to start pounding down on some of these prospects. I think we've only done 10 so far, if I counted correctly. So I think every episode that we do now, we're going to end up doing 2 prospect profiles. So today, without further ado, Gabe Perreault, USNTDP U18s, and Matthew Wood out of the University of Connecticut. Did I get that right? Is it Connecticut?
Yeah.
It is Connecticut.
Connect die cut.
Thank
You
goodness.
coming, baby?
All right, so I guess I'll ask you guys. You guys want to do Perreault or you want to do Matt Wood first, and then I'll do the spiel of their little basic stuff.
I want to do the man who has the same first name as me.
You want to go
That's
with
fair.
Woody?
I almost said
I got a Woody for Wood, baby.
What were you saying, Derek?
I thought he was gonna go. Let's go with Gabe. I was like, wait, your first name's Gabe? What am I missing out for all these years?
Gabe
was like,
Leslie.
oh, yeah.
I had to think about that too. That's
Your first name's
Gabe's
not used
actually my
often.
middle name.
is it?
No.
Matthew
No,
Wood
no.
Leslie.
We're changing it now.
Matthew
Matthew-
Gabe Leslie. Yeah, I'm going to name my kid that, Gabe Leslie, and he's going to get bullied mercilessly on the playground. I'll have to pull him out of school and homeschool him.
Oh my Lanta. Well, I don't wish that. I don't wish that evil on you, Leslie.
Poor little Gabe is going to have bruises all up and down his body, and he's going to have to learn all his lessons from Hockeytown University, and he's going to get into college and be like, all right, little Gabe, so how do you solve this equation in calculus class? And he'll be like, Simon Edvinsson? Marco Kasper? No, sorry, you
want
fail.
money.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's jump into Matthew Wood out of the University of Connecticut. He is 18. He technically is a underager in the NCAA. His birthday is February 6, 2005. Like I said, he's 18. He's a big boy though, 6'3", 190 pounds, shoots right. He's from Canada. In the University of Connecticut, in 35 games, he put up 11 goals, 23 assists for 34 points. So right about a game per or a point per game player. He only had 4 penalties. 4 penalties. Or no, sorry, 2 penalties.
2 penalties.
He had 4 penalty minutes. So 2
That's pretty
penalties.
insane.
That's impressive.
That's pretty good. I feel like, yeah, that's pretty impressive, right? And then he had a plus minus of 7. Some people think it's a useless stat. For forwards, I think it's a little more useless stat. But you still got to kind of look at it, right? What is he doing on the ice versus what the other teams are doing? So kind of seems like they has a little defensive side into him. But yeah, other than that, for Canada U18s, he was a stud. In 7 games, he put up 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points. He only got 6 penalty minutes with a plus 12. This guy, pretty much for most mock drafts, I'm pretty sure he's ranked anywhere from like as early as 10. I've seen some where he goes like in the top 10, like 5 to 10. And I've seen some as late as like 25. And one right here, like Draft Prospects Hockey, which I'm sure that they probably have to update that. So that's what it says right here on Elite Prospects. But someone else break down Matt Wood for me, though. I'm sick of hearing my voice.
Matt, have fun with your own name, buddy. You got this guy.
Yeah, you got this, bro. This is your boy.
Yeah, so I've definitely seen him all over the place as far as draft boards go. I don't think he'd be an insane reach at number 9, but I am gonna say he's a little bit of a dark horse candidate, just kind of based on who's gonna be there. Really, no matter how you slice it, you're gonna have a really good player at number 9, and I think Matthew Wood might be on the lower side of that number. But yeah, sure, why not? There's a lot to like about him. He's a big kid, youngest player in college hockey, and not only was he youngest player, he also led his team in points. So that's pretty awesome. I don't really know too much about Connecticut. I don't know if they're a stronger team than their conference, but I do know that they play in the ECAC, which is kind of one of the weaker ones in college hockey. But, you know, I think he's still playing against teams like in the Boston area, that sort of thing. I think University of Maine is in that conference. Quinnipiac, I think, is also there too, who, you know, just won the Frozen Four. So he's playing against some good competition, putting up really good numbers for a kid of his age. I think there's a lot to like about him. I think maybe just the whole kind of volatility all over the draft board is maybe kind of stemming from him having really, really big upside, but there is kind of some glaring criticisms about him. He's not a super strong skater, which it's not really to the level of like an Andrew Crystal, where it looks like this dude just learned how to walk, let alone skate. Like he's got good fundamentals. I think it's going to be something that'll just be improved through the development league. Hopefully it'll be improved through college too. But yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest things he has to work on is his skating. And he is not really the most he's not the strongest player out there. Kind of because of that, his compete level goes down a bit because of that. He's definitely prone to make a few mistakes, a few turnovers while he's playing, which could just attribute to him being in college hockey where the level of competition is so below it that he thinks he can get away with a lot more than he really can do. I think that's a big criticism of a lot of the players who are playing in college hockey right now, not just him. Can definitely say that about a lot of these guys in the draft. So these are all things that are very fixable. They're all very typical, as I said, of players of his age. And it's kind of typical for a guy who is the youngest guy in college hockey. I'd be shocked if he was without flaws in his game. I mean, let's face it, if he was without flaws, he'd be in the top 5, not the top 10. So I think there really is, as I said, a lot to like about him. He has a really, really strong wrist shot. Not only that, but his one-timer, oh, baby, he bangs it home. It reminds me a little bit of Dominic Kubalik when he's on, that he just rips it home. So you really love seeing a guy who is a dual threat with his wrist shot and his slap shot. That's, I mean, if a guy has that, you can just use that, work with that, and just worry about everything else later because he's definitely naturally talented. Really, really a talented player. Definitely a great passer too if he needs to pass, but I kind of feel like he's going to be more of a shoot first, more of a scoring winger, which, hey, what do we need in Hockey Town? A scoring winger. It's really what we need. It's hard to say where he would be in the draft for us at 9 or 17. I got to be quite honest. This might be something that depends on what other GMs are going to do, but he is a candidate for trading up in the draft. Yzerman has a lot of picks in the later rounds in this draft, 3 in a row in the second round. Wouldn't mind taking that 17 pick and one of those, maybe the later second round pick, trading up for Matthew Wood if he's still available. Maybe that's kind of a reach. I don't really know what you guys feel about that, but I like him so much that I would definitely consider trading up for him if you're down there at 17, and it really doesn't look like he's going to be there. I think it would depend on what's left on the board, but I think whatever team takes him, if it's not the Red Wings, they're going to have a really good player on their hands. If Calgary or Pittsburgh takes him before Detroit can, maybe this says more about their prospect pool, but he's immediately their best prospect. He's a really good player, and I think you've got a real gem if he falls to you down in the later round.
What about you, Derek?
Matt, you pretty much said everything I had written down there. I love it.
You're welcome.
I just gotta say with the fact. Who was it? Let me bring it back up. Central Scouting for the NHL Central Scouting. Number 4 right now. I just want to have everyone's minds wrapped around him. Matthew Wood. Fantastic player. I don't think he's going number 4, though. I don't think he breaks the top 5 of his draft this year.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Derek. That's for the North America skaters rankings. He's number 4th overall for North American skaters.
Which even that's a little high, to be honest.
No, that is still pretty high. Yeah.
I mean, you consider that Adam Fantilli, Connor Bedard, Will Smith, they're all in the North American, so 4 is still kind of insane.
Makes a lot more sense now. Thank you very much, Zach.
Still high, though.
But still, at the same time, Matt was right about everything. Not a bad player at all. He's really good. Great puck control, great stick handling. Terribly slow. But again, he's 6'3", almost 200 pounds. That's something he can work on in the offseason, get it quicker, probably drop up. I don't know. Nah, I wouldn't want him to drop anyway. I want him to stay at right 190. That's probably perfect for someone who's 6'3". 200, maybe a little bit bigger. But besides that, overall good player. I give him like a 7 out of 10 for this draft rating right now. The only thing he really does have to improve is that skating. He's a little soft in the boards for someone his size. Like, I wouldn't expect someone of his like caliber to be knocked off so easily, but it does happen quite often, especially with him with his hands. Like, he's very good with his hands. Great silky mitts. But he does get knocked off a lot, and he's not great at getting back and getting the defense. So he's not that 200-foot player yet that you want to see. But I do believe that, get in the right team, get the right teaching, right coaching, he'll be that player 100%. And if you get him at, between 10 and 20, that's still a good pick for him.
This kid, for me, I think it's very impressive what he's done in the NCAA, especially for an underager. The first thing that I noticed is his height. Yes, he's 6'3". He's a big boy, 190 pounds. And when I hear that he has issues with puck battles, especially on the boards or even just puck battles in general, 2 names come to my mind, and they're both Red Wings players/prospects. Elmer Soderblom and Michael Rasmussen. Both of those players, I'm pretty sure when they were drafted, they kept on growing. This kid very much could keep growing as well, and he might not be adjusted to his frame quite yet. And that goes along with him being an underager as well, as that he is playing against and with players that are anywhere from 20, 24, depending on how long that they play in the NCAA. So he's going up against technically stronger, bigger players, bigger men. But that's not to say that that's a gripe on him. Like I said, I think he definitely utilized this season to learn a lot, especially positioning wise, and then just feeling the game overall, just kind of building his hockey IQ, which both he's pretty strong at. He's got a great shot, like Leslie said. I don't know. I'm sorry, I had to go to the bathroom while Leslie was talking, so he might have suggested that his passing is pretty good too. But I agree with that as well. And then just his puck handling in general too. But like Derek said, just needs to be a little better skating. Leslie said that too. His board battles just need to be a little bit better. But I do think with time, the upside with this kid is actually there. If he's already a point per game player as an underager, just imagine what he could do next season when he's already got that first season in him and he's already like, well, not already saying, but like I said, he's keeping on growing, but just maturing in his body, just understanding how his body works and what he can do and what he can get away with in the game. Because now we look at Elmer Soderblom where he's a freaking unicorn. Michael Rasmussen needed time to develop a little bit more to become, I'm not going to say elite winger, but like at this point, he is our top left wing player on the Red Wings team. So Matt Wood shoots right. Would I love to have him? Yeah. At 9, me personally, no. My mind changes every single day, honestly. One day I'm like, yeah, I want Reinbacher. One day I'm like, I want Oliver Moore. And then one day I'm like, I want Gabe Perreault. Could he be there at 17 for us? I think there's a chance. But I think a lot of GMs are actually really high in this guy. And another player that comes to mind is Quinton Byfield. While Quinton Byfield did not play in the NCAA, he was in the Lucas Raymond draft of 2020 and was taken second overall because his upside was there. And he was actually an underager in that draft. He was the youngest player in that draft, I believe. And look at him now. He's with the LA Kings, and he's already on their roster too. So Matt Wood, if he can be there at 17, I'm taking him. I think he's a great second line right winger behind Lucas Raymond. If you just want to predict that far into the future, I think that's great. Maybe even just battle with Raymond in general for that top spot. I think that's good competition that you always need. My only issue is that I do think that we need to prioritize left wing if we are going to go a winger, or right-handed D-man. But I do think that the first pick will probably either be a center or a D-man, and then your second pick, you just have to see who's best available at that point from there. I don't think that the second pick that you have is going by positional need. I think you go by best player available. The first pick, you definitely should go by position, depending on who it is. If Mitchkov is still there, you're running up to the podium and taking him.
There won't be any time for commercials at that point. It's like, okay, this big, okay, next player, let's go.
Yeah. Bettman will literally be mad at you if you have to do that. But
I was just going to say that. Bettman will be mad.
Good.
But no,
screw Bettman.
Overall, do I think he could be there at 9? Yes. Am I taking him? No. Can he be there at 17? Yes and no. It's just all falls on between, those general managers and who picks in between 9 and 17 on where they see him on their own draft boards, because it's always going to be different for each team. We can sit here until we're blue in the face talking about where each player is going to go, but we just truly do not know. But I love his game, and I think the overall consensus is, if I speak for all of us, that this is a player we would love to have on the Red Wings, and I think this is a player that any GM would love to have in their prospect pool overall. Would you guys agree with me on that?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Eventually, the Red Wings are going to be like, you have to be at least 6'1" and above to be on our team, and I'd be happy with that.
They're like Cedar Point. Yeah, you gotta they have like that little like kid standing up
to ride the Heisman ride.
Yeah, the kid's 6'1". He's like, you gotta be this tall.
You are not tall enough to rip the Heisman bong.
There's so many players.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Derek, because that's another argument you could use to say that Matthew Wood could be a really popular target at 17. It's that height advantage right there. And we go back to his skating, and it's definitely not the best right now. I got to imagine that if you're an 18-year-old and you're already 6'3", it's probably not very easy to skate. Probably hard to move. I've never been anywhere close to 6'3" in my entire life. I've been a short king my whole life, and I embrace it. I'm fine with it. But, yeah, I can't imagine it's easy to be moving your body. I mean, who knows? Maybe the kid went through a growth spurt, and he's Still kind of trying to get accustomed to it, but skating is kind of one of those things where, like, if you're so talented and you have the shot, like I mentioned before, that can be worked on. And if his skating kind of still stays the same, as long as he still has all those other tangibles, he'll still be a hell of a player. Maybe he'll be kind of more like a power play specialist rather than a true scoring winger, but those are valuable too. We definitely need a scoring winger on the power play in Detroit. We need a lot of things on the power play in Detroit. So we'll start there and work from outwards.
I mean, we can't rely on Chase on forever.
No. As much as I want to sign him to it, I do want to sign him to an 8x8, but man, I think that he might just only do 7 out of those 8 years and say goodbye. Who knows? But let's go ahead and move on if you guys are good with that. Let's talk about Gabe Perreault for a little bit. Let me pull up his thing right here. Let's see. Gabe Perreault, born May 7th, 2005, 18 years old. So right winger, shoots left. Well, actually, I think we all agreed that he's technically a left winger, right? And that Ryan Leonard played on the right.
Yeah. Well, I'm
so.
trying to look him up right now. I don't know what he's listed at. It says he's right. I don't actually really know.
Yeah.
I just have him down as a winger, so.
He's 5'11", 165 pounds, ranked anywhere. I mean, you go online and you see what people are putting down for this kid. I mean, I see him. I mean, we're kind of to blame for that too. I mean, we said that we would take him at number 10. The points that he's put up, I mean, let's just go into that. I mean, 132 points in 63 games this season, 53 goals, 79 assists. Like, that is just insane. Guess how many penalty minutes he had? 8. That's 4 penalties. 4. He was a plus minus 79. Plus 79.
That's insane.
In those 63 games. In the 7 games at the World Junior Championship, he put up 5 goals, 13 assists for 18 points. This kid legit is a gamer, in my opinion, but I want the boys to take it over for me because, once again, I'm sick of my voice. I can go for a long time.
But yeah, Mike, 5'11", 165. Gabe's on the smaller side of everything, but who really isn't in the draft right now with all these prospects that are coming up? Like, all these players in the top 10, they're not massive players. This guy fits right in right now and has time to actually grow, like we always say. But obviously, his skating, I think, is probably the biggest suit that he has an issue with right now. Nothing terrible, but he's just a little bit slow at getting back. He needs to work on his edges and whatnot, and being able to pick up that speed, just kind of like Matthew Wood a little bit. If they picked up the speed, get those edges working for him, I believe he'd probably be like an 8 out of 9 out of 10 player. Like, shoots his prospect goals way up. His shooting, pretty fantastic. If you get him in the slot, he probably is going to score, especially with his hockey IQ. He has that ability to make those plays, get the puck around, find the open player. It's pretty insane what he can do, especially like if you get into his puck control. Like, hands are out of this world. Better than Matthew Woods. Like, and I saw nonstop all the Woods like highlights about how his hands just literally dangle through the defenseman at a 6'3". And apparently Gabe is better than him with his hands. And I'm like, okay, if that's the case, like, that's pretty insane to see. Like, he can do pretty much anything out there. Great hand-eye. Only thing you really need out there. It's someone who can actually pass the puck back and forth and be able to shoot it really well. His competes a little bit on the weekend, just kind of like his skating. Doesn't really, not that 200-foot player, I don't think, just yet. I think the players we picked today are pretty much very similar in that aspect. They both have some stuff they got to work on, especially in the defensive area, getting back, working on, like, if they lose the puck, you got to fight that battle to get it back. And I didn't really see either side doing that much, especially in Gabe's sense. Matthew, a little bit easier. He's a giant, so people really couldn't knock him off as easy, but Gabe's small. So obviously he has a little bit more of a struggle keeping the puck when he gets knocked off. But all in all, I still say he's probably going to be the player that goes above Wood in this round, just because of his skills and the amount of points that he put up this year. Like, it's just undeniable that he is a good player. I mean, in fact, he was on a line with some great other players as well, especially in the USA team. But at the same time, it shows, like, He can do what he needs to do. You put him out there with players that are of his equal caliber, he will produce. And give him another 20 pounds in the offseason of muscle, and I think he's going to be a tank out there just running through people at 5'11". He'll probably grow to 6 foot. He'll be like pretty much if he gets to my size, just muscle instead of like this beer belly that I have right now, I say he's going to be doing pretty well.
So that's
Someone give me some other feedback on that.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that we continuously talk about. So this is the last player on that USNTDP U18 team of that top line that we needed to talk about, and we talked about it for Will Smith and Ryan Leonard, and we kind of touched about on it with Oliver Moore, but yeah, Gabe Perreault, how much is his success, accounted from Will Smith and Ryan Leonard? How much did they add to his production? I think that he's one of the more creative players in this draft. His hockey IQ, I think, is pretty good. Great playmaking, just a really good passer too. I mean, you see all those tic-tac-toe plays that those three do together. So he definitely has some pretty good hands, in my opinion. Derek, I know that you said like he could probably work on his compete a little bit. I think overall he's just a gamer. His dad I believe used to play in the NHL or as a hockey player. His brother is a hockey player as well. Yeah. And so he just grows up in that type of family. And I think I mentioned it on one episode where I either watched a video or I read an article where it was like his brother was talking about, like he went away for 1 year and then he came back the next summer and he was already as tall as I am. And I'm like 3 or 4 years older than he is. And this, like, he instantly just got just as good and better than his brother did too by doing that. So this kid, I mean, not only did he break numbers for the USNTDP, but like he's already technically doing better than his dad ever did, and he's better than his brother. Granted, that's probably not saying a lot, but that's a huge brag to him and his family, I'm sure. And I think that just shows that like he really is willing to put in the work ethic to do what needs to be done. Just needs to get a little bit bigger, just be a little more better defensively, try not to try to force plays too much, and that's something that we talked about the other two, Will Smith and Ryan Leonard. They kind of do the same thing because I don't know if it's because they just are so good and they know it that they just try to be so cute with it that they just want to see if it works. That's fine, but once you get to the NHL, you guys got to figure it out somehow to where it's going to work with these other players, because now they're all going to Boston College or BU. It's Boston College or BU. I think it's Boston College.
Let me look it up real quick.
But yeah, either way, like these players haven't played with other players in so long, unless there were injuries that were happening throughout the season. But it still has a worrisome in my eyes that Gabe Perreault might not be the pick at 9 anymore. And I know that I was the one who made that pick. But like I said, the more as the days go on, my mind keeps on changing. Like I said, that doesn't change my opinions on Gabe Perreault. But I do think that he is going to be, if he falls out of the top 10, I think that might be the pick that a lot of GMs will be like, wow, I can't believe I missed that. I really do. Leslie, go ahead. It's your turn, buddy.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, he also might be the pick that if he falls out of the top 10, that a GM is rushing up to the podium to go and grab him. I mean, I could see St. Louis, if they pass on him, Vancouver is sprinting and probably shipping over a microphone cable to go get him at 11. Like, this kid is... Listen, there's definitely reasons that he's all up and down the board. I think overall, the fact that he's even being talked about as possibly falling out of the top 10 just really speaks to how just insanely deep this draft is. I mean, I feel like I say it every episode when we talk about a prospect, but it really just cannot be overstated how insane this draft is. I mean, there's so many potential franchise players who can take in the first round. It's just nutty. But yeah, that being said, there's definitely reasons that he's going up and down. He is not super competitive. His two-way game is, I wouldn't say it's non-existent, but it is really below a lot of guys in this draft. So I think that's just kind of due to him being not only at the size that he is, but he is just so skilled on offense that he kind of uses that as almost like a crutch to kind of get by during games. And maybe that's also just a byproduct of playing with just insanely talented guys. And I mean, he's playing with the best of the best in the U.S. So maybe he's seeing like, oh, we're playing against the United States Army hockey team. We're playing against Niagara University. I don't have to play defense because these teams suck. So I don't really need to do that. But just like I said with Matthew Wood, even though he doesn't have the size of Matthew Wood, you can teach him defense. He's got all the offense in the world. You won't have to worry about having to elevate him at all. I mean, he scored, let me look it up here, 132 points this year in the U18. That's more than Austin Matthews did. That's more than Logan Cooley did last year, which I know it's so early, but Logan Cooley is looking like the best player from this draft. Not named Marco Kasper, of course. But yeah, I do remember on our mock draft video, which, by the way, I want to mention that video was blowing up. Thank you guys so much for the support on that. I think we're going to have to do another mock draft video because you guys are eating that up. So stay tuned. We may do at least one more of those before the draft happens. But yeah, in that video, I did pick him at 9. If I really had to think about it, I would still do that. It would, again, depend on what you have to choose from on draft day. If Zach Benson is there at 9, I'd take Zach Benson. If Dvorsky there, I'd take Dvorsky over him. It's going to depend on how it shakes out. But if Yzerman gets up there and he picks Perreault, it's not a bad pick. It's not the wrong pick. I would be very excited. Now that I just brought up Yzerman, I do want to mention that I don't think Gabe Perreault is the type of player he would go for. To me, if I want to compare him to someone last year, he reminds me a lot of Matt Savoy, which I would have loved Matt Savoy. Obviously, I'm happy with Marco Kasper. I'm not going to try and compare the two, but I would have liked Matt Savoy too. And he plays the same style of Gabe Perreault, where he just puts up all offense and no defense. That's not really something Yzerman goes for, but you never know. He might shock us. So, yeah, I really like Gabe Perreault. What else did I want to say here? Yeah, in my notes, I did put him down as having one of the highest hockey IQs out of this entire draft. Kind of sounds insane to say it out loud, but I still believe it. I mean, when you watch the kid play, he's got a great shot, a really, really good shot, but he recognizes when it's better to pass than to shoot, and he makes some pretty entertaining plays. The kid is like a human highlight reel. So if you are a GM and you're getting up there and you want to, actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, this would be a great guy for a guy like Barry Trotz. I do know that a couple days ago I think he had a quote addressing his scouting staff saying that I don't care about 3rd and 4th line guys. I can go find them wherever. Get me someone that puts asses in the seats, and when he's on the ice, he brings the asses out of the seats. That's Gabe Perreault. So if you are a GM who wants a guy like that, and he falls to you at your pick, you better take him and not look back. You will run up to the stage and have Gary Bettman get mad at you because he wants to show more Tim Hortons commercials. You will literally get hate mail from him in your email the very next day. So that's Gabe Perreault. I think I do try and compare these guys to NHL players, which I don't think I did that with Matthew Wood, but we already did him, so I'm not going to do it now. I'll do it with Gabe Perreault. To me, Gabe Perreault, the best comparable I have is he's the next Mitch Marner, who doesn't really compete too much that often, but just is the most offensively gifted player you'll see. So to me, he's Mitch Marner. Do with that what you will, but that's who I think he's going to ultimately end up being. So yeah, I'm high on him. I really like him. Just like Matthew Wood, I'm sensing a theme here. He's going to be a gem from the draft if he falls out the top 10.
So I got to ask you both, and I don't know if Derek's actually here. I can hear him rumbling a little bit, but who would you rather take?
He's cutting in and out.
Who would you rather take if you had the option, if both were available at 17? You going Matt Wood or you going Gabe Perreault?
That's a good one.
I can hear Derek, but I can't see him.
I didn't actually know that you were here with us.
I'm here. Don't worry. I can see myself still, so apparently I'm recording on my end.
Okay. Go ahead, Leslie.
Okay.
Go ahead. Someone
Yeah,
answer.
you're good.
Yeah.
I think at 17, if we have both those options still, I probably am going to steal me a Gabe Perreault at that point, just because he can throw on the weight. I know he's a little smaller, but, 6 foot, still 6 foot. Throw some skates on him, he's 6'2" automatically. I don't see a problem with that. Get him sized up a little bit, make him learn the defensive style a little bit more, and I think Yardman will definitely implement that when he drafts him, like Leslie says. We need that 200-foot player, and one of these two we would just have to create into that. They both have potential to do it, so I'd go with Perreault on this one. That would be my pick at 17 if he's still there.
I think I would have to agree with you on that, Derek. I think the skating that Matt Wood, not that Gabe Perreault's a lot better, but it's better. And I think Gabe Perreault just has a leg up just based on where he comes from in general. His dad, his brother, even too. I think that Gabe Perreault overall, like I said, I love what he brings to the game. I think he can be a gamer, and I really would love to see him on a line with Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond. Like, that is like what I'm salivating over. I would love it. The only issue why I'm not choosing Matt Wood, it's not because of the skating, but it's because I think you already have a Michael Rasmussen, you have Elmer Soderblom. We really don't like I feel like GMs are going to be drafting him based on his size and the upside he brings. For us, do we really need a 6'3" winger who's not good at skating? We need more good skaters. Like we have what we talked about this the last episode, I think, right? We said Larkin, Seider, and then like
one of the
whoever
worst
else,
skating, one of the worst skating teams in the league. It's Larkin and then Zadina, who does nothing but skate good.
Literally.
Derek, so you said Gabe Perreault, and then it sounds like that everyone is Gabe Perreault then, huh? Gabe Perreault.
Well, I
at
didn't give
17.
my prediction yet.
My bad, dude. Go ahead.
We're skipping over Matt today.
I think no matter what pick it is at 9 or 17, Matthew Wood fits what the scheme that Yzerman's trying to build more. But me personally, if I'm picking, I guess I'd have to go with you guys too. It'd be Gabe Perreault. I just kind of look at it in terms of like what their ceiling is going to be, and I think both of them have pretty much the same floor. But I think Gabe Perreault's ceiling is just his ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan would say. Like he has a really, really high ceiling. I think he has star potential, which that's not to say that Matthew Wood doesn't. I think Matthew Wood could still be a really good scoring winger. I would just have to say that Gabe Perreault, to me, I would bet money on it that he's going to be a star, and Matthew Wood could happen, but I don't necessarily see it happening right away. I think he needs to get in a really good situation with a good developing staff to really reach his ultimate ceiling. Yeah, that's a tough one, though. I think no matter which one you choose, if Yzerman really is there at 17 and he has both of them, whichever one he chooses, I can't really sit there and say, oh, he should have got the other guy. He made the wrong choice, which maybe we could say that in 5 years. I don't know. They definitely won't be the same player, but during draft day, I can't sit there and be like, well, that was a shitty pick because I didn't want him. Like they both help you out immensely. Another reason I give Gabe Perreault the edge is he just scores, man. The Red Wings just need to score, man. I've said it like 10 times this episode. They need scoring. Gabe Perreault brings scoring. Not only that, but he also brings playmaking, so he could elevate whoever he's playing with. So there you go. If you stick him on a line with Marco Kasper, maybe this is a bad example, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you stick him on a line with Marco Kasper, you bring his production up. I realize that doesn't make sense because he hasn't played in the NHL yet, and we don't know what his production is, but nevertheless, he would be a good compliment to him. So I'd have to go with Gabe.
Pod consensus on Gabe. Gabe the Babe.
Yes, sir.
Let's get him at 17 if we can. I would love that. I mean, he's definitely going to be there at 9. I would be shocked. If he's picked anywhere from 1 to 8. I will be shocked. Will I be upset? No. Is it the craziest thing? No, but I still think that I would be shocked. I do think that there is a better chance that Matt Wood makes it in the top 10 before Gabe Perreault does. And that seems to be the consensus with a lot of people. And to be honest, that kind of blows my mind. But enough of that. I think everyone said their piece on both players. I think we're good.
Mm-hmm.
C'est la vie. All right. Well, that about wraps it up for us. We ain't got nothing else left. So
that's all we got for you.
Final thoughts, everyone. Leslie, go on your rant. Go ahead. It's all you, buddy.
Well, I wish you didn't say that because now the viewers are hoping that I have a rant for you, and I don't really know if I actually have one today. He'll
say it when everyone else says something, and he'll be like, "Wait, hold on, I forgot something."
Which
That's why we'll let him go first.
maybe I will, but I'll do my best to save it for the next episode. Maybe I'll have something for the next episode. I don't know. Gary Bettman does dumb things every 3 days, so maybe he'll do something stupid I have to rant about.
I'm surprised. You don't want to talk about Gary Bettman with Biz on the first game on how because you said how Gary Bettman sucks or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, Biz is kind of just like the punching bag on that show on TNT,
panel.
Which
he
thrives in that role. So I mean, he brings it on himself. So I can't really. I don't know. I just said that because I don't like Gary Bettman. I don't really think that it was the wrong thing to say. But actually, you know what? You brought it up. I don't really have a rant, but I do want to talk about these Stanley Cup Final jerseys and the patch placement right next to the letters. Are you fucking kidding me? What is that shit?
So your placement, buddy.
Your sponsor, whatever stupid sports book you have to put on the jersey, is more important than the Stanley Cup Finals patch. Let's just shift that over. It's not like we've been wearing that for the last 100 years. No, the sponsor is definitely more important. Like you can't temporarily get rid of it. You got sponsors all over the ice. You got sponsors all over the boards. Why do we have to do this too? It doesn't make any sense to me. It just makes it look ugly. And I do know that the actual jerseys that you can buy online don't look like that. That's kind of not really the point, though. I don't like seeing that on the ice. I think it's dumb. I really want ads on the jerseys anyways, but if we are looking for a compromise here, maybe you put it like the bottom of the jersey rather than the top. Maybe that could work. But I hope this doesn't happen again next year because it looks really dumb. But I don't know. That's pretty much all I had. I'm excited to watch this last finals. I hope it's going to be ending as good as it began because it's, after one game, definitely already entertaining. I do hope it ends in a Florida win so I can rake in that dough. And then after that, we have the draft, which I might be more excited for that than the finals, which I guess that goes without saying because it involves the Red Wings and the finals doesn't. So I'm more excited for that for sure. And we can pick Connor Bedard when he slides to 9th inevitably. That'll be cool. And maybe if that doesn't happen, Fantilli will be there. You never know. Maybe people will be not too impressed with the World Championship and think, you know what, we don't want him. We'll take him at 9. So, yeah. Bring on draft season. I'll probably be going crazy on Cap Friendly, making some mock trades, some mock drafts. I've got draft fever, baby. And part of me really wishes I could go with you to the draft, Zach, because that'd be really fun. But there is a lot of stuff that's coincided at the same time that maybe not able to do that. So there's always next year.
Derek?
I'm just over here waiting for the dogs to stop barking as always.
Honestly, I agree with Leslie full-heartedly and all that. Even though in general, he's saying that he would still pick Gabe at 17, even though he did have them at 9 in our mock draft. Still wouldn't be upset with that either. That's a good pick for us. But, let's see what this last series has for us. Let's see if Matt's going to be spending a bunch more money on his girl. Unfortunately, I have to be on the opposite side for Matt because I want Vegas to win. Let's go Vegas. Let's go Red Wings, but let's go Vegas because I'm excited for this round just because, obviously, day one bandwagoner. Let's go, baby. Let's go Vegas.
Day one.
I love my Red Wings right here, but they're not in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. So, got to shoot for what I have.
Look at all those cups behind you, buddy. Look at all those cups.
I'm even missing one because this is before 2008 that I got this.
I think I have one Similar. I just don't have it hung up yet because I'm listening like the piece for it, but I'll get it hung up here pretty soon. But final thoughts, boys. You guys are good with your final thoughts?
Yep.
Ugh. Screw the placement of the cup on the logos by the A's and C's. Thank you, Leslie. That was the only rant I had tonight, and you took it away from me, so I didn't have to go into it.
He asked me to do a rant. You could have jumped in if you wanted to, but I had to think up on the fly.
I like it. You took what I needed, and you went with it.
That's kind of what I do every episode, though. So maybe you should go before I do every time.
We'll change it up. We'll make sure Leslie goes last then.
Yeah, that might help you.
All right. Well, if those are your final thoughts, boys, my final thoughts are go Red Wings. Make sure that you're subscribed. If you're not already, make sure you are smashing that like button. Make sure you are rating us 5 stars on Spotify and you are following us. We really do like that. That goes a long way for us. I can't remember if we announced the winner for the Henrik Zetterberg bobblehead giveaway, but Juicy Jeff or at Juicy Jeff on Twitter, you did win that. So I believe that he probably already has that now. So congratulations on winning that. We will be doing future giveaways as well. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. You know, if you maybe we can finally start making money on the podcast and then we can start giving you guys nicer stuff. I don't know. But also my final thoughts are once again, the patch is dumb. Seider for Nylander, no. Your dumb NHL trade rumor, the dumbest thing ever. Seider over Nylander all day. Dubas, man, have fun. Brad Treliving, let us know if you want to give us Austin Matthews for a used washing machine. We'll gladly take that. Other than that,
a Sherratt with their name on it.
Ben Sherratt can come with the used washing machine. He'll be inside of it, shipped to you free of charge. Getting ready for the draft. Like Leslie said, we'll probably end up doing one more right before the draft before I have to leave. So it'll probably be that Sunday before since the draft is on a Wednesday. But yeah, other than that, like I said, go Red Wings. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're liking. Comment what you guys think about the trade overall, you know? So, all right, boys, I think we're good. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye.
Y'all have a great night in Hockey World. Go Vegas.
Bye-bye.
Kitty Cats in 7.
Meow, meow.